On September 28, 2008, former WPI head coach Ed Zaloom joined Eric Wren and me on our Liberty League interview show, In the Huddle. During the interview, I asked Coach Zaloom about the football game played on Frank Bailey Field on September 15, 2001, just 4 days after Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and New York City were attacked on September 11th.
For those just joining us, Coach Ed Zaloom from WPI joining us here in the Huddle. Coach, my first exposure to you was back a long time ago, it seems like, and that makes me sound old right now. In 2001, it brought in the WPI team to Union, and it was right after 9/11. There was a lot of questions as to whether that game was going to be played or not. And it was a rare circumstance after the game. Union had defeated you in a really hard-fought game, I believe, that year. But you addressed both teams on the field after that game, a very rare thing for that to happen. I mean, take us back. What did you say to the teams that day, and how close was that game to not being played in retrospect?
Well, you know, I've got to admit something to you, Frank. That was a very difficult week for me. I've never had trouble going out to a practice field and preparing a football team. Regardless of what the circumstance was the week before, whether we won, whether we lost, whether we were 0-5 or 5-0. But I've got to tell you, that was probably the most difficult week for me to go out to a practice field because it seemed so meaningless at the time. And I remember calling the commissioner almost every day and asking him, am I the only guy that's having this kind of problem, and should not all games be canceled? And he said he had already gotten 1 million calls, the head of the NCAA, on that issue, and that they still felt it was better to play so that we wouldn't lend any credence to what went on, and the country wouldn't be in panic as a result of everything being canceled that was going on. So, you know, I felt very strongly at the time, and we had a ceremony on the field, and you remember that, Frank. I think it was before the game. I think we gave honor to the people that had passed away in the whole incident. And then after the game, I just felt this great passion to talk to both teams. And, you know, John Ordino and I have always had a good relationship with Gary Reynolds, the whole coaching staff there. If you remember, I'd coached in that area for many years and got to know those guys very well. So, no, it's hard for me to think back and remember what I said. I simply, I guess I wanted to say to the players that our heart should go out to those people that passed away and so on, that you as the young people and you as athletes especially, I have a great fondness for college football athletes and college athletes as a whole. I believe they're going to be the next leaders of our great nation and of the world. And I said, that what was very important is that they take the things they learn here on the football field and they use that in the future, and to make sure that our country remains strong as a result of their character and the things that they learn out on the football field. And I think that was the basic message that I was giving them at the time, because it seemed to me, I was very confused at the time. It looked like the world around me was collapsing. If you had told me then that there would never have been another attack on our United States up till now, I would have never believed it.
That's one of those moments, Coach. It's the Pearl Harbor of our generation in the standpoint. We all kind of remember where we were. I'm sure it really put a lot of things into perspective.
While Coach Zaloom is no longer coaching WPI, his stories and words of wisdom live on to this day, as shown by the clip you just heard. His memories of 9/11 are much like the rest of ours, and like him, we will never forget.